The topic of BC assessment and assessed value comes up a lot in real estate discussions. BC assessment itself is responsible for determining the assessed value of a property to support the local municipalities in calculating property taxes. That's the goal of it. In this process, they take into account various factors like a property's size, its location, its age, and to a limited degree, the overall condition of the home from an external perspective. It's typically completed though by individuals in an office that do not drive by or ever really see the property. They're simply generalizing the property's value from afar by taking into account recent sales nearby. Typically that's how it's performed. So it's worth noting that their assessed value is based on the previous year. It's typically calculated in June or July of the last summer. And then that number sits alongside that property for the next year. So does a number that was stamped on a property potentially 9, 10, 11 months ago accurately mirror what it's actually worth in real world value? Of course not. Market conditions change. Interest rates go up, interest rates go down. How much supply is there on the market? How much demand is there? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Is it a balanced market? This all changes multiple times, all these factors throughout the course of a single year. Also, the assessors, they don't know that a brand new $100,000 kitchen was just put in, or that the yard is literally a paradise. There's so much more that goes into determining what a property is actually worth. And in the end of the day, a property is worth what someone is willing to pay for it at that point in time. Some individuals will fall in love with a home and perhaps pay more for it than others would have. So that's why it's important to not look at just one other comparable property sale, but to look at as many as possible to get a well-rounded number and understanding of the market for a property's actual sales value. Now, last year, a home was sold in our market for around $625,000, where it was assessed at over $1.4 million. So did that buyer get a steal of a deal? No, they actually purchased the property at market value. This property was grossly overassessed, and the assessment did not reflect what the property was actually worth. And also of note, it didn't affect its value, bringing up the sales price. It didn't sell higher because it was assessed high. So that previous property owner certainly could have had grounds to argue against its assessed value being too high and have it reduced, but they did not do so. So basing the value of a property on its assessed value can actually be a mistake. Assessors actually typically try to assess a property's value a little bit lower than market value. But of course, this doesn't always happen, as the example we just discussed. But they try to assess it a little bit low so that they're not flooded with complaints and assessed value disputes. So how can we actually determine then what a property's real world value is, as we can't rely on the assessed value as we have determined? So a full understanding of the specific property is really necessary. Its age, its size, updates, right? Is the kitchen renovated? Landscaping, the area. Is any work needing to be completed? Does it need a new roof? And then we need to look a little bit closer at other comparable listings that are active on the market. But at the same time, not take these other active listings that are comparable as the be-all end-all in determining value. Because a seller can ask whatever they want for a home. It could be worth $750,000, but they're asking $1 million. So the most important thing we need to look at is actual sales numbers. What are other comparable properties selling for at this point in time, not a year ago, at this point in time? Some home buyers will look at the assessed value as they're shopping for a home and they'll say, wow, this one's listed below assessed value. It must be a good deal. No, not necessarily. The assessed value can simply be high, as we just discussed. Some will say, why on earth are they trying to sell their home for $100,000 over assessed value? Well, there could be many different factors. The assessed value could be out of date, as we said. It could be 11 months old. It could be incorrect for so many different reasons. Not many homeowners will look at their home's assessed value that's actually too low and go and complain to the assessors to have it raised up higher to accurately show their home's value is higher than what it was assessed at. Because this will raise their taxes, right? Some have done this, but not very many people will do it. Now, in the COVID years, property values were rising so rapidly that, of course, a number stamped on a home 10, 11 months ago was far out of date. I saw one home that sold for $2 million during COVID that was assessed at $1 million. Now, this again is another extreme example, but it shows that a property is worth what someone is willing to pay for it at that moment in time. And that property truly was worth $2 million at that time. It received multiple offers. It wasn't a case of someone overpaying for a property. At that point in time, that's what it was worth. So to summarize, assessed value is a data point to acknowledge and reference. We can look at it and say, okay, well, that's what it's assessed at, but it does not dictate the real world value of a property. This value is determined by many different factors. So if you're interested in finding out what a property is worth, reach out to us and we can perform what's called a CMA, or a comparative market analysis, for you to help you out with this.